Welcome back. Today I want to talk about small downloads. Very often in a meditative or a spiritual path, especially if you're a yogi, we're looking for something to happen. Something ought to be coming my way and slapping me across the face. Something should be hitting me by now, and it's not happening, right? And it's a bad habit for all of us, because we're used to things. Okay, the TV is going to hit me with all of this information. That's what we're used to, right? So we go to meditation. Obviously, the same thing ought to happen. Where's my news at 5, right? And the spiritual life is not set up that way. All of the spiritual life is a sensitivity exercise, right? So be here now. That's a sensitivity exercise. Watch the breath. Sensitivity exercise. Okay, we're going to lower the breath rate and notice the 4 proofs. We're noticing something inside of ourselves. That's a sensitivity exercise. Okay, we're going to Om Japa into the chakras, right? We're going to Om into the chakras. I notice the chakra. I feel it. I Om into it. And then I notice that I feel a little bit clearer, a little bit better, maybe very small, but it's noticeable. All of that is an exercise in sensitivity, isn't it? So we are becoming more and more and more subtle. So the world outside of us is usually desensitizing us, and our meditative journey is making us more aware, more sensitive, more present, more subtle, right? That is the journey. That's a huge portion of the journey right there. And so when we're looking for this download experience, right? Forrest talks about this download experience. My guru talks about, Google God. We're going to go up into the medulla. We're going to have a roll up of consciousness. We're going to go into the medulla, lodged into the brain, and we're going to Google God. We're going to sit at the feet of the true interior guru and have a download. Well, how does that happen? How do we make it happen? Well, we don't, do we? So let's get into it. So this whole download thing, how do I make this happen? Well, first of all, we don't. We don't make it happen. We set up conditions which allow it to happen. So the first conditions are, I'm going to sit very still and lower my breath rate so I induce HRV resonance. I might do some Om Japa in the chakras, and I'm going to notice the 4 proofs and let go. And as I enter into this quiet space inside of myself, for the very first time perhaps, I'm now in a position to actually receive from the higher self. I might receive something in a dream. I might receive something in a meditation. I might receive something sitting on my couch. And very strangely, somebody might come up and say something to me, and I have an aha experience. All of that is relevant. All of those are possible downloads. And I was talking to a wonderful yogini, and she said to me, Forrest, I was looking for these really big experiences, and I was listening to you talk about these download experiences, and then I noticed, oh wait, I'm making more connections than I ever have before, because every day I'm going in and I'm touching a little more quiet. I'm touching a little more silence. I'm touching my parasympathetic system and I'm calming down, relaxing, and I am becoming more subtle, and connections just come. I think a question and the answer comes. That's a download, by the way. And sometimes it's quite profound. Sometimes it's like, oh, okay. And sometimes it's like, whoa, okay, I think I get that for the first time. All of those are downloads. It's not something that we made happen. It's something we set up the conditions for so it could spontaneously arise. Now, another way that we can set up these conditions and help foster all of this is the third training. That's the talking to the higher self training, right? And those little skills, walking through the hallway progression, doing the angel exercise, all of that is going to increase the ability to pick up on very subtle things. We have to be a little bit spontaneous. We have to let go and notice what other brain waves are saying to us. And all of that, that foundation and the quietness that we are setting up allows this spontaneous inspiration to come forth. So there are two ways that we can think about this. It's actually the same, but I'm going to give it to you two separate ways to think about it, okay? The first way that we can think about it is in the quiet moments. The pool of our consciousness has become still. And in those quiet waters, we can begin, maybe for the very first time in our lives, to reflect the information from the higher self. So the superconscious mind that Jung talks about is reflecting in the calm waters of our awareness and our consciousness, and our noticing all that calm has developed our ability to notice. And in those calm waters, the higher self is reflected. It may come in an inspiration. It may come in a vision, which is wonderful. It may come in just a knowing. It may come in a very simple understanding. It may come in a, I get it now. All of that may take place in meditation, or we might get up, sit on the couch, and then it happens. We might be watching a movie, really relaxed, just enjoying the movie, then it comes. We might be jogging, then it comes. We might wake up, oh, I get it, then it comes. And it might be very small. Just a tiny little understanding, and then another tiny little understanding, and then another tiny little understanding. And then after a year of those, you look back, you go, oh my God, I'm a totally different person. Because each of these incremental tiny little understandings were essential to your journey. And all of those have been gifted to you from your own higher self, coming down, reflected in the still waters that you have been developing. HRV resonance, sit very still, notice the 4 proofs, let go, throw in some Om Japa in the chakras, and all of that gets developed. The other way to describe this is that we are on a journey from the left brain to the right. So we were over here in the left brain, and I have to do everything. I have to write everything down. I have to memorize everything I have to do. I have to do all of it, right? And then we come into meditation, and we put all of that on hold. We sit very still. We notice the 4 proofs. We calm down. And that calmness in the body is reflected back on the mind. The mind begins to clear. And as we touch on the clarity and the silence of the right brain, just a little hair. Maybe it's not a big, I didn't get like this perfectly clear meditation forest. It was still chattering away. That's okay. Was it less than before? Yeah, it was less than before. That's it. You're going in the right direction. And just a little bit of silence you're touching on. And now the left brain, which is a linear processor. It does one tiny little step at a time. If I did my whole video like this, you would hate it because it's so linear, right? And then we touch the right brain, which is a multi-processor, and it just goes, right? Every connection all at once, multi-processor. We touch that for just a split second, just a little bit of silence, and we have the potential to understand things that we could not connect the dots before because it was just too linear. And the path we had to go to create the understanding was, and it just lights up in the right brain. That's how it's possible. Left brain, linear. Right brain, multiprocessor. Everything. You see those geometric shapes, the flower of life, the Sri Yantra, the net of Indra. What are they describing? The right brain. They're describing to you this multiprocessor. We touch it, and our understanding begins to explode. Maybe not all at once, maybe not huge, it doesn't matter. Bit by bit by bit by bit, understanding by understanding, riddle by riddle, we start to unravel. And that's the journey. That's the glory and the fun of it. That's the joy of it. I didn't get it. And then slowly I ate the riddle. And at the end, oh my God. And what are we doing? Oh my God. My brain exploded because I touched the right brain, and it just, oh, the understanding. I get it now. Sometimes the downloads will rock your world. You won't be the same. Like, I had so many downloads in a row at one time that it shook my life so completely that I kept looking for something to hold on. What is going to stay in my life the same? Everything is shifting. Everything is being pulled out from under me. Give me something to hold on to. That's how I felt, right? That can be the download experience. But it can also be these just tiny little incremental understandings which bit by bit are changing the way that we see our lives, that we see life itself, that we see ourselves, that we see others. Bit by bit by bit, it's being changed. Do you remember defragging your old computer? I mean, your old computer, right? You'd put it on defrag and you'd just watch all of those blocks turn into one color. It was just a mess, right? And bit by bit by bit, it gets recoded. Everything comes into line and the colors start to line up. That's what happens to our whole brain, right? Because the left brain touches the right brain. And then magically, sometimes I would get a download, and then I would have the vision from the download, and it would go into my left brain, and I would go, oh my God, I get it, this and this and this. And as I'm saying that to myself, the higher self will hear it, and it'll take that, and then it will recompute and show me again. Boom, second download. And I'm like, oh my God, whoa, I get it. And then boom, a third download comes. And so what happens is this amazing back and forth begins to take place between the hemispheres. And oh my God, now you're actually operating as a whole person, not half of a person, not the other half. You're the whole. You're walking with both feet. Oh my God, you're walking in your life with both hemispheres. And this is the inspiration that every artist craves. This is the inspiration every writer craves. How can I walk forward with both feet? And you, the yogi, the yogini, you are the one who is doing it. And it has to do with this integration, this slow download process that takes place in the still, where? In the still moments of our meditations. Jung said, synchronicity is the natural state. Synchronicity is the natural state. And when you start to get into this territory of the download, you'll notice that synchronicity starts taking place in your life. And that's what I mean. Somebody will say something to you and you'll go, oh my God, that's what I needed to hear. How did that happen? Synchronicity. It's the natural state of things when you're flowing back and forth between the two hemispheres of the brain. And that's what Jung was describing, because he noticed it. He noticed it when he started to get deep into his own life. And he said, oh, this is the natural state. I'm not stuck on one side. I'm not stuck on the other side. I am walking hand in hand, both hemispheres. That's the infinity. So if you notice that synchronicity in your own life, That's why. You're creating that. How did you create it? With just a tiny bit of stillness and silence. That's all it took to start the journey. So I hope you loved this. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you next time.